there, but a lot of people were going on the platform back and forward. And there was water dripping everywhere, rats, dark, and really scary, but very Piranesian place. So, and it's called Canal Street. So I decided that it will be great to make the fragment of real canal there, kind of Venetian canal with gondolas and water. And I won this possibility to build it. So we built 60 meters container with water right on the truck. I made some strange gondolas with people, and there was special light and sound and some drawings on the wall. So people were really surprised passing this place, and it was there for several months. This was another exhibition in Moscow in the Museum of Architecture many years ago in '89. One of the objects was the disappearing palazzo with video inside. It was also made from unfired clay. The problem with this material is that it's really beautiful and nice to work with, but my idea is not to fire it, because when you fire and make it really long life piece, in my opinion, it loses a lot of beauty, because you always feel that it's really fragile. It's kind of a dust, and it can become a dust, go back to the dust every moment. So also it's a very ecological thing, because you can use this clay constantly many times. If you break it and put it into water, you can make another piece. So most part of these pieces I destroyed myself because I didn't have place to keep them. This is the glasses from the New York show. The glasses that you cannot put on. And some examples of just pictures that I made for years, etchings. In school, we were so much inspired by Piranesi, and me and Ilya, my friend, we dreamed to make etchings, but we didn't have the etching press. At that time, it was really difficult to get it. It was expensive for us, and we had no place to put it. So we made a lot of pen drawings, looked like etchings, pretended that it's etchings, but it was not etchings, and we thought, well. But at some moment, we bought this press, and we were really happy. Made these etchings, many heads, things like this. The dog. This is, I also decided to add this to works. This is my son's drawing when he was 3.5 or 4 years old. He made this, and he called it "Mother Putting Drops into the Nose." And I think it's really impressive. And then he was really a very small boy. And then at the same period, right after this, he asked me or his mother, remember, what is the abstract art? It was so suddenly, so we tried to somehow to explain him how we understand the abstract art, and he immediately took the pen and made another picture. So I think that's one of the best examples of abstract art. And this is the latest thing that I've done. This was an exhibition in Moscow that was opened right before I came here, a few days ago. It's kind of brand new work. Very bad photographs, because the pictures were taken by friends. There was no photographer yet. And it was based on many big light boxes. The same idea. I decided to use the same thing. Glass very roughly painted white, and drawings made by finger. So this is the image that followed me all my life. The shops or some other spaces under the renovation, and the workers come and paint all the vitrines white very roughly, and then while they're still wet, they draw something very fast or make some special notes. And then it stands like this. Or the other version of it, the white painted windows of old Soviet hospitals or kindergartens or school toilets with another kind of graphic art. Because it's not wet, it's hard already, so we use coins or nails and make kind of engravings on this white surface, and the light comes through. So all my life I was inspired by these images of this folk art on windows. So I decided once to make an exhibition of these things. So I kind of cemetery with little portraits of the same faces like on the big drawings. The exhibition was called Windows and Factories. So I made many windows and 3 big factories. When I lived in the States, in New York, I lived with my family, and we used to live in an old tobacco factory. It was the cheapest place we could get, very rough. And we spent 4 years there. It was a huge old factory used as art studios. Nobody was supposed to live there, but everybody lived, of course. So after this years of this factory, I always have this image in my head. I'm making a lot of drawings of factories, and here I made clay model with some artificial fire inside, and it was in the glass box, and the real smoke would come all the time from little holes. So sometimes it's all covered with smoke, and sometimes the smoke would go and you could see the building. This is one of the windows with a street landscape. The nice thing about this is that you have to draw very, very fast because the paint is drying fast. So you have a few minutes to make big drawing, and it feels good. One of the themes from the school toilets. Fragment of the big window. And this came from the gray matter installation. This was some separate piece. The dog watching TV. Everything was made of clay, and the TV was also very roughly made of clay, but video projector was in the head, and through the mouth it projected. Very simple thing, but touching this and asking me how can the TV being so cracked show the film. That's it. That's all pictures I have. Thank you very much. Thank you again for coming here. It's a great pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, if you have any question, of course, I will be glad to answer any kind of question.
I think you should never, from today on, you should never put your images in order. It was wonderful, you know, it allows us to, you know, make our own story out of your disordered images. So I think this is a wonderful approach. You can use it again.
I will. No questions. It's good. Okay.
I have one question, okay? Just, you know, I feel sometimes if there is one question, then there will be many more to come. Ovo je uključen, ama. Have you ever declined or refused a commission, and for what reason, in terms of an architectural design? You know, if a client has come to you and you said, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it happens several times. We don't have so many offers, actually, but it happened several times. Firstly, we refused a few times to make the apartment interiors because after several experiences with apartments, we swear to each other, never ever do it again. But now we're doing it again because it's hard time. But several times we refused because to make apartments it's a very special thing, and it drives you crazy after some time. It makes you go in too deep other people's life, and sometimes it's too much. It's long and terrible. So we refused to make several apartments, and we had maybe one or two maybe offers to make some kind of shopping centers. And we looked at the clients and we decided that we're not going to do it because it was too scary. So, but basically we say the people come to our office to commission a little private house, some low budget thing, small with not much money, and for us it's interesting. We have once difficult experience making the very center of Moscow. It's very strange, but we had it, and we failed totally with it because I have a good friend who is a very successful big architect, building a lot of big things in the city and in different places. He's a very good guy. He's a good architect, very experienced in these circles of official architectural life. And once he suggested me to make a project together. It was the renovation of beautiful old house in the center of Moscow, the beginning of 20th century, beautiful apartment building that was already signed to be demolished. It was bought by some very, very wealthy people, oligarchs, a company of oligarchs, and they decided to destroy it and to build for themselves the new apartment building. And this guy didn't know what to do. He said, I know you like old buildings. Maybe you help to do something. And I said, is there any small chance to save? He said, there is no chance to save the whole building, but there is one from thousands chance to save the real walls of the facade, which is wonderful with sculpture. So I said, let's try then. And it was a small competition. We made a proposal with the real wall, historical wall and some new building. And we won somehow, I don't know why. So this oligarch said, okay, it's interesting, let's try. We don't understand when we should save this terrible old wall, but the whole thing is not bad, so let's try to do it. So we made the whole project for 2 years. We were working on it, and the first thing that they did, they demolished all the building, left this wall, tried to make it not falling down, but then they got some problems with the land, and then 2 years passed, and of course this wall couldn't stay without other walls for such a long time, in winter and summer and so on. So finally, because of their terrible mistake, they had to. And in the contract, I wrote that we are working on this project only if we save the wall. If we cannot save the wall, we don't do it. So they demolished the wall after 2 or 3 years, and we escaped. We didn't finish it. So that was the sad story of trying to build something in this city.
You didn't mention the part about small houses but masterpieces. That's the commission you get. Дали има прашање?
Okay, thank you.